Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. And we have got ourselves what should be a good one here today, as it's going to be another bot author recommended replay. So somebody looked at this game and said, that's pretty cool. And now we are going to probably do the same, as we do have two newer bots. Well, I'll say newer when I mean more in development, as we've got Smokinggunbot taking on Princess-Mika, which are, yeah, two bots that are not at the top of the ladder, but are definitely still interesting for different reasons. Smokinggunbot is quite new, being created January 19th, 2025. It is a Java bot programmed by, how am I going to say this? It's Szipka, Zipka? Anyway, if I mispronounce your name, I apologize, and feel free to correct me. But Zipka seems to be a fan of Mass Effect. And then let's see, we did have a scouting drone getting killed off by Smokinggunbot, so it does respond to external stimuli like a drone in its base, as it is just going for a multi-racks opening. Very interesting. But anyway, I'll read more on the bots' descriptions and talk about them more. But before that, make sure to go ahead, click that like button if you haven't already, ladies and gentlemen. Subscribe to the channel, and then join the Discord, which is linked down below. And yeah, just more bots if you haven't already commented that. All right, so Smokinggunbot going for a bunker at the front of its base. We have, I believe I've only cast one Smokinggunbot match in the past, and that's the cool thing about bot authors constantly updating their bots, and even being a newer bot, because the updates they get can be massively changing. I do recall like bunkers on this map on the high ground though, so we'll see how useful those are in this game. And yeah, let's see, any other details? The bot author has a nice little changelog on their post. And then let's see, Princess-Mika is moving out across the map with some early lings, just an early attack of 9 Zerglings. Now, Smokinggunbot should be safe from this with its bunkers. Interesting placement. I wonder if this is RNG or if it's something the bot author predefines on the map. But yeah, 6 Marines in a bunker should be totally fine, as lings are not going to be able to break that, so very solid defense. I'm curious, yeah, a couple SCVs do make that very, very long trek in order to repair that bunker. Princess-Mika, meanwhile, sending overlords all over the place, getting up its third base, and a roach warren on the way. As, yeah, let's read Princess-Mika's description. The author is Mew77, a Zerg bot programmed in Python, created April 2024 on the 21st of April. Last updated the 23rd of May 2025, which is like a day before I cast this, so these bots are very much in active development, and that's one of the things. The bot authors are quite active in the Discord, letting us know what they're working on, which is one of the things that makes me sort of want to keep an eye on these bots, because if they're just constantly being developed, yet they're not having a ton of success on the ladder, you feel at some point they'll eventually probably break out, because if they're building good fundamentals in their programming, eventually they should be able to put that into practice. So we'll definitely keep an eye on them, as we do have spines and roaches on the way for Princess-Mika. So sort of playing it safe with those spine crawlers on the way, getting up a hatchery, and then just scouting out all over the map. Meanwhile, Smokinggunbot is just staying on one base. Interestingly enough, no orbital command. It finally throws down an expansion. And is Smokinggunbot speed mining? The answer to that question is no. So no speed mining from Smokinggunbot, so maybe that's something we'll have to see in the next update. And I'm actually just going to pull up which opponent I cast them against before. So I am curious. I can't remember every single game I've cast Guys, okay, yes, it was Smokinggunbot versus Wickedbot, right? We had that crazy TVT with all the planetaries versus marines and that kind of thing. So, yes, Smokinggunbot now has a tank on the way, producing some marines out of a reactor. No orbital command yet, so we'll have to keep eyes on that. That's something that is fairly straightforward to program, and eventually it does get produced, which is good to see. As Princess-Mika does have drones on the way, getting up a nice economy, and definitely will have a very, very sizable economic lead, not just because it has more workers, but because it is speed mining, whereas its opponent is not. And that's the kind of thing that you can implement that will definitely have direct results in your bot. As, I mean, a 7% boost to your 7 to 10% boost to your mining speed is going to have big ramifications. That's why in my simple cheese bot, my Zergling Rush bot, of course I program that into it. But it all depends on the focus from the bot authors. I do have chat disabled, as Princess-Mika is a bit of a talker, as it does let us know all the debug in its chat. And then we do have roaches and lings running on into these tanks and bunkers. That's why the best bots tend to have combat simulators to tell what's going on, but at the top of a ramp it is very difficult because you don't have vision of all the units, so then as soon as you get up the ramp your math changes. As Princess-Mika is going to have to eventually contend with a planetary fortress from the Smokinggunbot. A Roach is skirmishing with a Reaper, but losing badly, actually, as the Reaper is doing just fine. What's the range? 5 range versus 4 range, right? Yeah, so in theory, a Reaper can kill a Roach, or the Roach can just walk into a tank and get deleted that way. Now, attacks haven't been successful for Princess-Mika. So far, Smokinggunbot is playing a flawless game, not having lost a single unit, and we'll see how long that holds true. But it will need that efficiency because its economy is just terrible compared to that of its opponent. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, let me know if you guys enjoy these sort of bot games from different places on the ladder. Like, I like to look at a wide variety of these bot games because there's lots of cool things people implement. It's cool to see what bot authors prioritize in newer bots. And yeah, as long as the games are reasonably close, I'm always happy to cast them, so feel free to send in your replays if you are a bot author. As long as it's not like 20 minutes of like a Zergling spinning in a circle, stuck or whatever, I'm okay casting any bot game for the most part. Now we've got Princess-Mika going for Baneling speed, getting up Carapace level 1, and a 4th hatch. Meanwhile, the Smokinggunbot does have a fusion core on the way, so potentially we'll see some battle cruisers. Although from what I recall, I think it did make Liberators previously. Supplies are not too far apart from each other, as Princess-Mika, despite having the better economy, is investing in lots of tech, which means its supply isn't shooting up as quick as its opponent. Lings are running past the siege tanks at these bunkers, but Smokinggunbot does hold on so far. It has only lost 2 Reapers in this game. Princess-Mika does have burrowed roach functionality, so those roaches take some damage, then they hide underground. Smokinggunbot is now repositioning its army, though, which is cool to see that that's a little bit dynamic when it comes to taking a 3rd base. And then we've got Princess-Mika attacking in again with these roaches, but they shall get deleted, and these banelings are not going to do well, I don't think, as they do run right on in. This is making me want to resume playing the campaign. I started a playthrough of the campaign of Starcraft 2 because it had been so long since I played it, and I thought, oh yeah, I'll stream that. So make sure you guys are subscribed to my 2nd channel. I don't post actively there, I mainly post tournament VODs. My voice cannot cast for 2 StarCraft channels, unlike Falcon Paladin. But yeah, go sub there in case I live stream or do put up the odd video here and there, as we do have battle cruisers on the way for the Smokinggunbot. We've got +1 armor on the way as well, and a Viking, that 3rd command center on the way, and the 1st Liberator is set up. So this is going to be a very good test for Princess-Mika in order to defeat a bot that just turtles and turtles up. Currently, it's only the 250 resources lost, so I guess the Smoking Gunbot must have canceled something. Or something's not showing up on the Resources Lost tab, actually. Which is interesting, because it's 150, 100, but that does not... The math ain't mathin' there. Anyway, this choke point is still very, very lethal, but it's a good example of, as far as Princess-Mika's attacks failing very hard, of why pooling your units is a very good idea, and something that's just absolutely essential, as we've got a very odd group of units, an Infestor and a Swarm Host walking their dog, which is a Baneling pretty much, as there's now a Battle Cruiser engaging some Hydras. Princess-Mika is going for yet another attack, tracking all this info, giving itself so much data to potentially work on, but not having a lot of success. And it seems that Princess-Mika, based on this data, is just tracking... It's just tracking what it lost. Maybe it would be better if the bot author tracked what it killed, because that really is how you measure whether an attack is successful. As, yeah, like, if you don't kill anything that's something you can track. That's something I thought about if I do work on my bot more, is to say, okay, I haven't killed anything in the past 3 attacks, so clearly I need to change strategy, or something like that. You could even do like a resource ratio. And yes, let's see. A Reaper is out on the map, hitting Princess-Mika's, what is now 5th, 6th, 7th base, as the Zergbot is making use of its better economy, expanding all over the place. We are getting more upgrades going. Ultralisks on the way. However, the one battle cruiser could cause problems. Princess-Mika is trying its luck. Corrosive Bile's getting thrown on down as they do hit some of those Liberators. We'll see if those actually get repaired or not, and they do, as the Smoking Gunbot does pull some of those off the line. And what a defensive position it has right now. This battle cruiser has found this spot too. Will Princess-Mika successfully respond to this threat? Looks like it is sending its units over there. There is Infestors, but there is no Neural Parasite. It's not researched yet, as the Zergbot does come in with this. Hydra's fighting the battle cruiser now fighting the larva, so not really prioritizing its targets that effectively. So maybe just program to shoot whatever unit is closest to it. And I did the thing with the 2 fingers when I said unit, as larva is technically a unit. And so if you don't differentiate between targets and you just use general calls to the API, you do end up with silly situations like that, where it's like, well, a larva is clearly not as much of a threat as a Hydralisk, but your bot will do exactly what you program it to. Princess-Mika may lose that base in the upper right to this Banshee, as that Banshee is flying around, does find a Hydra. 1v1 showdown, as the Banshee is maybe actually going to lose this. This is quite a close fight, but no. The Banshee then can go back to attacking this cocoon, which is interesting how it's just not hitting that hatchery. Princess-Mika is out on the map. It's at 170 supply against 142 of the Terran, and Smoking Gunbot isn't as locked down as it attempts to take a 4th and a 5th base. They are not planetaries just yet. The Terran bot is responding to the stimuli, which is quite advanced behavior for a newer bot, as it is coming to save its bases and deal with the threat on the map, so it does a good job doing that. We'll see if it can make a planetary at this command center, potentially. That would be important. Auto turrets going down. There is Ultralisk out for Princess-Mika. They do not have chitinous plating, from what I can see. There is a Lurker, which burrowed units are very strong, but there's actually a Raven that just happens to be in the correct position. Banshees, meanwhile, in the upper right, are killing off this larva, so they may eventually shoot this hatch. They do shoot the hatch a few times, and more Banshees are being produced for the Smoking Gunbot. The one battle cruiser is still just flying around like, yes, I am a capital ship. Deal with it. The Smoking Gunbot is just starting this as a planetary now. Meanwhile, it's rebuilding this base in the bottom left. Let's turn that chat back on and see what's being said. Just Princess-Mika getting upgrades. Chitinous plating is being researched, which can be very, very useful. And oh man, Smoking Gunbot may lose its 4th as the Zerg does come on in. Banshees, though, are striking back, hitting this base of Princess-Mika. They've got Cloak, interestingly enough. And they are going to prevent further expansion in that upper right, while also shutting down this base. Then there's the tanks and the planetary to hold on to the third. So that fourth base was killed off, but the new fourth is being established down at the bottom right, as Smokinggunbot does have quite a nice choke point here. Liberators and tanks will just hold this position basically indefinitely. As we see an Ultralisk walk forward, it gets deleted. Anything that steps in range of the tanks or the circles is pretty much getting deleted as Liberators set to fire on those Ultras. Man, oh man, what a choke point. Overseers being killed off by the Vikings too. And so while Smokinggunbot doesn't have the best economy, it's doing remarkably well. The Banshees, though, are pausing as they just hold tight. And maybe they're getting distracted by this Overseer or something like that, as they are just sitting there, unfortunately. So Smokinggunbot does lose its fourth and its fifth base. We'll have to keep eyes on whether it can re-secure that up or not. The cost efficiency is pretty good for the Terran, while also getting this economic damage done to Princess-Mika is nice. The Banshees and the Battlecruiser are coming in now, as this game is really quite close, as the Zerg is not getting damage for free. It is taking lots of damage. The Battlecruiser fighting the Spore is interesting. No Yamato cannon was ever researched either. The Terran bot is prioritizing ground attack while it's going for more of an air composition, but so that's interesting. I mean, it does have some tanks out, so I guess like that will kind of benefit it. The Battlecruiser and Banshees are working away on this hatchery as well, so that potentially may die. The BC is potentially going to kill that. We shall see, as Banshees are still hitting Princess-Mika a bit, avoiding the Spore Crawlers, so very good behavior there from the Smokinggunbot. Princess-Mika does have this fourth base getting, or, well, being hit. The third base of Smokinggunbot, pardon me. The planetary kills that off, though, as the Raven flies on by, so that's really nice and very important for the Smokinggunbot, as needing that third is something that it really has to hold on to. Banshees are shooting away at Ultras. They don't deal the most damage to those, but the Zerg bot is now moving across the map. Let me turn that chat off again. Spam 1. And yes, now Liberators and tanks are still holding the top of this ramp as Princess-Mika elects to go on in, but it is a suicide charge up this ramp into Liberators, tanks, and yes, a couple bunkers as well. So far, the Smokinggunbot has yet to get up the fourth base once again. It is keeping its army production rolling, though, keeping its upgrades going, and Princess-Mika is unfortunately lacking this direct anti-air that it needs to deal with these Banshees. The Hydras are trying, but they are by far not perfect anti-air. As the Banshees, I mean, they're not cloaked right now. There is Overseers nearby, but they will be driven back. Princess-Mika is rebuilding this base down here. The Battlecruiser did end up going down, and I think I hear a Liberator harassing. That's something that's very strong from the Smokinggunbot. This is not something that I'd want to try and deal with as a bot author, but a way Princess-Mika could handle this would be to reburrow this Spore Crawler, which is probably a fairly reasonable check. Just have a Spore Crawler, assign it to the base that it's nearest to, and then if there's, say, a Liberator or an air unit nearby, you can have it reposition like every 10 seconds to try and get on top of that. But yes, very good harassment from Smokinggunbot. This Liberator may just keep getting more and more kills. Drones dodging shots kind of as they go into the gas, but not as they go out of it. And Princess-Mika is going to try its luck at this ramp once more, but it is suicide as the Zerg bot rolls on up here and does not find success. There's mass Vikings out for Smokinggunbot. A fourth base is being reestablished. Princess-Mika does have a decent economy still, though, with, well, 6 bases up, so even though it's starting to mine out some, it's still got a good economy going. This Liberator will get more and more kills, so basically just free damage. The drones are getting picked off, and that is something that makes sustaining a fight very hard for Princess-Mika. And yes, maybe Princess-Mika's army composition needs a bit more anti-air or something like that, as these air units really are getting good value for Smokinggunbot. The 4th base is now secured up. We'll see if it turns into a planetary right away. There's not quite enough gas. Another battle cruiser is on the way, though, and that's actually a big deal. The more BCs that Smokinggunbot makes, the better it shall be, as Princess-Mika really has been lacking on the anti-air. We even have another Liberator harassing. This is just terrific damage that's being dealt. Princess-Mika is going to have its economy shrinking immensely. And now look at this. Smokinggunbot is even coming out for an attack. Tanks and Marines against all these Ultras, though, may be a bit tight pressed to get something done. The Liberator will get free shots, but the Ultras and Banelings and Roaches are very good when they actually do get a connection. And this may be Smokinggunbot giving one up to Princess-Mika, as the planetary wasn't quite done, and the Zergbot will decide to break this location, which is massively important. That is a huge loss for Smokinggunbot, as its 3rd base is starting to mine out. Its natural is mining out. The main is mined out. And yes, that is going to make life very hard. The Liberators are still set up here. 32 kills on this one. That's a lot of resources that it's taking out of Princess-Mika's pocket. Still, though, this location is being held on to for now by Smokinggunbot. Tanks, bunkers, the planetary are just barely staying, well, barely holding the line. Both these bots are really falling in supply. Banshees are getting work done. There was that extra BC that was made, though, so that's going to go and harass. Although it could potentially end the gravy train that is these Liberators killing off basically an endless amount of drones. Princess-Mika somehow affords 3 Ultras, so we'll see if it gears up for another attack. Smokinggunbot is going to have to put in a lot of work to bring its economy back up, though. This one Liberator is hanging out here as well, interestingly enough, not doing anything. This other Liberator killing off more and more drones. The BC's flying around. Yeah, the BC could legitimately be a bad thing for Smokinggunbot, because it's like, it's that rule: when your opponent's making a mistake, don't interrupt them. And that's what this battle cruiser is potentially about to do. If it kills the hatchery, then drones will probably stop being sent there. So that is something that's just, it's one of those things, like, yeah, it's always a good idea to have your bot harass and attack. It's like, well, I guess not always, as bots do end up in these wacky situations. Smokinggunbot is still only on these original 3 bases that it had, and it is eventually going to run out of money to mine in this game. Its income is better than that of Princess-Mika's still. It kills off this hatchery, so the Liberator is now useless, but if it stays there, I mean, well, at least Princess-Mika isn't mining from that base. Princess-Mika does have this base, though. That's reasonably fresh, and then this spot, too, which wasn't shut down. So we'll see what the battlecruiser can do, as the only anti-air is the 3 infestors, the 1 Hydra, and the 2 queens, which, well, a battlecruiser could potentially take those on, as it will have 3-1 upgrades, as +3 attack just finished. A 2nd BC is on the way. Smokinggunbot is not doing any long-distance mining presently, and it does have some idle SCVs, so this bot may just have an expiry on it if it never starts up a new base, which would be a bit unfortunate. As this BC comes on in, and oh no, is it going to kill the natural base now? That would suck if it ends this gravy train. This Liberator up to 41 kills, this one at 35. Princess-Mika, though, expanding towards the left could be the move, as those bases really haven't been harassed nearly as much. Another drone going down. Smokinggunbot still just producing lots of units, not having the income to hit that 400 mineral mark to start up a new base. And there is these idle SCVs, which makes me a bit nervous that it may eventually just run out of money here. And it goes to show that, like, expanding logic can be something that's simple, but it can also be very complicated. As it's like there is times where you've got to prioritize having, like, prioritize building up your economy or prioritizing one thing over another, which is very difficult, because if you just have like a loop in your bot that says basically, hey, just keep building this, build an army, it will prioritize that. Princess-Mika fires up 9 drones, which is quite important. That will really bolster its income. And now the Zerg bot is moving out, going to try its luck to crack these bunkers once again. Auto turrets getting thrown down by the Ravens. Vikings are landed to help out. It's an absolute killing zone, but still, there is a lot of Zerg here. The bunkers have finally been breached. The Ravens eat corrosive bile, and Princess-Mika will crash through this position. One tank remains getting shots off, but it has now gone down. There's a few Vikings left in the sky, and an Ultralisk on this inside the main base causing problems. The roaches will be dealt with, and the attack was eventually cleaned up. Spore crawlers, though, causing problems for these banshees. The two BCs now in the main base are doing work, but they're attacking this. They're attacking the larva when they need to be fighting the spores. That one teleports home upon taking a certain amount of damage. We do have Smokinggunbot building up a new command center, so that could be its key back into this game. Not that it's necessarily out of this game, but Princess-Mika does still have a massively superior army, as it's, I mean, if we pull up the income, like you guys can see, that mineral amount isn't very high, as these BCs are coming on in, or the one BC, the other one went home to be repaired. It's now taking the same path back, so just going along the outskirts of the map, as this battlecruiser does eventually get repelled. Princess-Mika is building 3 more Ultralisk at a time, somehow having the money to produce all these units. Banshees are being worked on as well and getting cleaned up. Smokinggunbot does have this base now mining. We'll see if Princess-Mika lets it stay alive or not. This one Liberator does decide to siege up. A Hydra does go down, but the Liberator dies too. We're also seeing +3 vehicle attack on the way. I mean, I guess that will benefit the landed Vikings. Or I guess it doesn't. Okay, that's actually something I didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, that I thought Vikings benefited from ground attack upgrades when they were on the ground, but maybe it's still their air weapons. That's something I'll have to investigate more. Anyway, Princess-Mika's production tab does look much better than its opponents. Smokinggunbot is mining off this one base very slowly. It does have money, and it elects to spend it on a new command center, but Princess-Mika sees it and could potentially be cleaning this out as a Ling comes on in, and there comes in the rest of the Zerg army as Smokinggunbot is in a lot of trouble. It does have these 2 BCs heading back across the map, but here's trouble for Smokinggunbot as this base has been found. The SCVs are going to be slaughtered, and I don't think this command center is going to lift off, which is unfortunate. And yes, that does die, so Smokinggunbot's economy is gone, basically. So these 2 BCs really have to win this game, or Princess-Mika is going to take it. There's not enough money, not enough SCVs to repair this PF. And yeah, well done, as Princess-Mika does crash the gates in this one eventually. And this has been quite a close game between 2 what seem to be evenly matched bots for the most part. Definitely things that could be improved by both of them. But yeah, I mean, pretty good fundamentals from both of them as well. Like, no major terrible glitches or terrible logic programmed into them. Princess-Mika's attacks were a bit questionable, just running into that kill zone, but it's arguably better than just sitting there and doing nothing. And the attacks were actually quite good. Like, as soon as Princess-Mika scouted that base, it went in, and then it went to the next one. So it did do a good job of that. This one BC is still doing as much work as it can. Princess-Mika, though, having these bases on the left side has been a godsend for it, allowing it to build up its economy. And I think we are approaching the point of fast-forwarding here, as there's literally no SCVs for Smokinggunbot. There is one Reaper that's shooting Ultralisk. Just kiting away against the Ultra. That's very scary. And it's gone. And this one base is being worked on by the Ultras. Princess-Mika does seem to be suffering from some sort of dysfunction on these Ultras, as they are not successfully attacking this. This is a bug that -0 even had a similar issue of, in which I'm guessing there's too many commands being issued or something, so they won't actually attack this location, or it may be because there's units above it. Yes, so that's a little bit of a bug. I assume eventually it will be able to kill this off, though. Who knows, maybe it'll just stay like that forever. Fast forwarding, this is getting a little goofy. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're still watching up until this point, click that like button, leave a comment down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and then join the Discord. All that good stuff. If you want to try your hand at programming a bot, you can check out aiarena.net. There's all sorts of helpful guides, and the Discord is linked on there too. And okay, it eventually does go down. And the bases are being worked on. Princess-Mika is totally mined out, by the way. That's not good economic redundancy. So it just barely won this game. It's only got 19 supply, and I guess technically it hasn't won yet. As oh my gosh, did those ultras die? They must have ran under the BCs or something. We're actually going to investigate what happened to the ultras, guys. Oh, they probably ran under the few liberators or something. Where'd they go? Okay, there they are. Yeah, they're in the main base. Eventually they kill this. Okay, so that dies. And then the ultras. Oh, they run into the planetary, and are they not? No, they do properly kill the PF. What happens next? Okay, there's a liberator there. Is that going to be the mass murderer? There's a Viking. A Viking shooting the ultras. That dies. They're killing off more stuff, and they fly under the BCs, and oh gosh, this is horrible. Like, Princess-Mika literally broke, guys. It's not mining anymore, which is not good economic redundancy. There's still minerals on the map. So that's why long-distance mining is important. We'll see if it ever gets by this or not to actually get the kill. We are in a stalemate officially. And unless something changes, we could potentially have a draw. Okay, battle cruisers facing off against infestors. The game will end in 1 minute. Okay, so this could potentially be a draw. I did not expect this. Oh, Fungal kills off a unit. That doesn't reset the timer, though. And that is going to be that. It's a tie, an honest-to-gosh tie. I didn't expect that. But, yeah, Princess-Mika just did some long-distance mining. It would have eventually had some stuff going on. But yes, big thanks to the bot author for sending this replay in. And big thanks to all bot authors that send in these replays. They're very fun to cast. And I will see you guys next time.